In this special episode of Live and Glow with Nyakio, I'm going to share with you my entrepreneurial journey. I am a first-generation American of Kenyan descent. I was born in New York, upstate New York, but grew up in Oklahoma. When I was a little girl, my parents took me back to Kenya, where I met my grandmother, Nyakio, who was a coffee farmer. And when I was 8 years old, she taught me my first beauty secret using Kenyan coffee and sugarcane that she grew on her farm to exfoliate her skin. And that really stuck with me, and I think that's where my beauty journey began. Soon after I graduated from college, I decided to head out west to Los Angeles. I had come out here with some friends on spring break my senior year and just was fascinated by LA, the beach and the palm trees and the excitement, and really loved the fact that LA was just full of dreamers, and that's something I always considered myself. I was, pretty fascinated by Hollywood and how movies were made, and so I ultimately ended up starting my journey in Hollywood and worked as an assistant, sort of worked my way through Hollywood. The most interesting part of the entertainment industry to me was the fashion and beauty aspect. I also wanted to explore what it would be like to work for myself. I really took a step back and looked at my business school. I'd gotten my undergrad degree in marketing at the University of Oklahoma, and so I took out these folders of old classwork that I had from several years before, and found a business plan that I had written in college. And I sort of took the basics of that business plan and started to apply it to the idea that I had for Nyakio. And I went to work every day, and then would come home at night and work on this business plan. You get to that point where the business plan is done, and now who do I give it to? And what made the most sense was to go to sort of the friends and family aspect of raising financing, which I did, and I was very fortunate that that came along pretty quickly. And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough for me to be able to create a few products. So then I had to ask myself, now how do you do that? And so at the time, I always joke that this dates me, that I used the yellow pages and looked for manufacturers in the area. And they said, if you find a retailer, we'll take your business. And I love Fred Siegel here in Los Angeles, and Ron Robinson is still to this day one of my greatest mentors. And he was the first person, the first retailer that said yes. He said, go make some samples, and if I like them, I'll launch your brand here at Apothea, was the name of the store at the time, by Ron Robinson at Fred Siegel. And I made some samples and I brought them to him, and he loved them and decided to launch my brand in August of 2002. And what ultimately happened with the business, it caught on pretty quickly. It started to get recognition, and I think because at that time there weren't a lot of brands playing in ingredients specifically from Africa. As the brand grew and really caught on, I found myself in this position where I was selling more than I even had in inventory. Anytime that it appeared in the press or on a favorite list, I would sell so much online that I didn't have the inventory in my public storage to be able to ship. And so I had to make that really hard choice, which is, it was heartbreaking at the time, to take a step back from the business, because what I realized at that point is that I needed the collaboration. I needed people, even though you're an entrepreneur, you're your own boss, you're not an expert in every division of a company. And quite often it takes a team and learnings that I really needed to take a step back and do. So during that time that I was on hiatus for my own brand, I decided that what I needed most was to find partners, experts in this field, people who had been doing this for a long time. And it would take having, sort of a team around me that had played in this field, that had the distribution relationships that I needed. I wanted a partner that had a like-minded partner that, it wasn't just about, clean and green beauty, which was important to me. But I wanted to be able to take it outside of just East Africa and my own story. I wanted to be able to celebrate the stories that I'd learned along in my path, from my girlfriends, from my travels, incorporate other countries into the line, as well as do it in a way that was very ethical, that was sustainable, and that was actually contributing to the areas where I was sourcing these ingredients from. Through a friend that I had worked with in sort of my past life of beauty, she introduced me to Richelieu Dennis at Sundial, and when we speak about like-mindedness, you know, he too is of African descent. He too had created Shea Moisture based on a story of his grandmother. So I believe that in business and being an entrepreneur, in relationships in general, that there are those moments of luck and kismet moments that sort of reinforce your dreams. And that just happened to be one of those moments in my life, meeting Richelieu and becoming part of the Sundial family. I think for anybody that wants to start their own business, my first piece of advice would be have a clear plan. Map out what it is that you want to do. I believe doing that visually is important by creating a business plan, a pitch deck, and look to experts in your field and ask their advice. Keep your eyes on the prize. It's very easy to get distracted, especially as a creative entrepreneur. But keep your eye on the prize. Make sure that you are staying authentic to your story, that you're setting realistic goals for yourself, that you're challenging yourself, and that you're able to take risks. Don't be afraid to ask. That's, I'd say, one of the most important things about being an entrepreneur is that it does always involve help from others. So don't be afraid to ask for money. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for introductions. All of those things can lead to the potential success of your business. Don't wait for the right time, just go for it. I find myself saying this a lot, whether it be somebody saying, oh, we're gonna wait to have kids till we're at XYZ, or we're gonna wait to take that trip until XYZ. I feel the same way in business. Don't wait for it, just go for it. It doesn't mean that you have to quit your job tomorrow and set out on this path without a plan. But if you deter yourself by waiting for the right moment, then that opportunity might pass you by. Stay authentic. I think some of the most successful businesses that I admire really tie back to an authentic story from the founder. I think that if you can tap into what is your story, that you're going to be able to stand behind whatever it is that you're creating, and that people are going to buy into it because it's the truth. Don't be afraid to fall down. I have a real trigger to the word failure, and I think that falling down is an important part of creating a business. If it's always going this way, you're never going to really experience or appreciate or potentially achieve the success that you set out to get. So, those falling down moments are teaching moments, and as painful as they may be at the time, they always seem to lead to a better place and a better situation. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my story of Nyakio Beauty. I love being an entrepreneur, and I want to hear your stories too. If you're thinking about starting a business, if you want to leave any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please be sure to subscribe. Thank you for coming on this journey with me, and have a great day.